Hello everyone, my name is George Diaz with Larry Jacob Internet Marketing, and I want to provide you with a LearnDash checklist to get you the perfect course launch. Now, launching a course with LearnDash is not necessarily hard, but launching one that works, converts, delivers a solid student experience, and doesn't create technical chaos afterward is a little bit more difficult. In this checklist, I'm going to walk you through things you do before you hit that publish button, so your LearnDash course launches your business instead of it becoming another thing you have to fix over and over again. So why use a checklist? Well, most LearnDash checkpoints problems show up after students enroll. They run into access issues, they get a confusing user experience, the automation doesn't fit them right, and then you get a bunch of support requests that really should never happen. So a LearnDash expert, once it really knows what they're doing, isn't asking the question, is the course ready for launch? It asks, is the system and the course that's a part of it ready to support paying students? And there's a difference between those two. One thing's about teaching and educating. The other one is about effectively giving users what they purchased and making sure that you deliver on that. So let me go over step number one in the checklist, which is confirm the role the course plays in your business. Now, you really have to look at your course relative to what you're doing. If you're selling the course in a vacuum, that's very different than if it's complementary to something else that you're doing, either as a service provider, a consultant, or whatever else you're doing. Does it support your coaching and consulting if that's what you do? Is it a lead-in to a higher offer? And does it require onboarding for your clients? Why does this matter? Well, it determines what your pricing ought to be, how access should be given, what sort of automation should go into it. And a sharp LearnDash developer, the decision always aligns your course with the rest of your business. So that's step number one. Step number two is we validate the course structure. So a lot of times I see folks develop a course. It's very clever. The names are snazzy, but it's a little bit more clever and creative than functional. So you really need to, in your checklist, look over what are the course lessons and topic names. Are they clear to someone casually scanning through it? Is there a lot of nesting, and outline indents where there doesn't really need to be there? Are the progressions very clear? What did I accomplish? And is that accomplishment just an automatic check, or is there something that it really helps the learner, understand how far they're going through the course? And then, have you tested the drip schedules? Are you dripping out emails and things like that work and then work to help the person through the course? So a lot of simplification of a course can help you reduce the kind of issues that could come up later. Number three, are you locking down access, and are the enrollment rules clear? So, you want to ask yourself exactly how do users gain access? Exactly how is access removed if there is a removal process? And this would be the difference between a buy once and have access forever versus a subscription where if people don't pay, they lose access. So how do you do refunds and cancellations? Is it clear to the users? Are there edge cases where expired uses or failed payments that need to be addressed and then either turned off temporarily and then turned back on? Is that all working, and is it clear what happens when people trigger those activities? I mean, if you can't explain access rules in one sentence, there's probably something that's too complex. Number four is, have you tested the student experience end to end? Now, it's very easy to look at your course as an administrator, but have you created a test student account? Have you made a purchase? Have you walked through the lessons one by one and the exercises? Do they make sense? Are you confirming that the emails and the notifications fire correctly? And especially when you're putting a course on a phone, or the notifications they see on their phones working correctly? Have you verified mobile and tablet usability versus how they work on a laptop? So small friction points can really mess up the experience. It can keep people from flowing smoothly through the course and cause you customer service issues. Number five, have you verified all the automations and the integrations? So If you're using a CRM, are the tags and custom fields working correctly? Are the welcome messages going out on time? If it's access based, is the access being triggered correctly? Upon completions, do the milestone actions work? Is the manual effort involved by your team minimized? Because whenever someone has to do something, if they can't get to it on time, that's going to affect how users perceive your course. So, if LearnDash is connected to payments, emails, and CRM, this step is something that absolutely has to work, and you have to make sure you test it. Step number 6 is prepare for support before you need it. If you assume you're not going to need support, you're making a bad assumption. So, what are the common student questions you expect? What's the basic onboarding instructions? When people arrive at the course, do they know what to do? And do you provide them with instructions? Maybe a short video that gets them started. Is login, access troubleshooting documented? So how should you go about fixing an access issue, with instructions for the users? Is that explained? And is there a clear escalation path through your own internal support so that if something happens, you can very clearly get them through that? So courses that educate users on how to use the platform get much fewer support issues. Step number 4, performance updates and stability. You really want to think about, is the hosting adequate for the number of users you expect to come in? Do you have caching set up correctly? Do you have backups? Are the backups done frequently? If something happens, do you know how to very quickly restore that? We get a lot of customers that'll, be working in WordPress and LearnDash. They'll do a plugin update and the system freezes up. You get a critical error. If you have a backup that you can quickly restore, you're back up and running within minutes. There are a lot of these little details that you have to make sure are in place so that you don't run into a lot of this sort of trouble. And the final step is define success for the launch. A lot of times it's like, I launched it, it's up there, but what are the metrics that you're going to use to measure success? Are you measuring revenue, completion of courses, how much engagement and retention you have? What feedback are you collecting from your users as they go through your course? And how are you going to incorporate that into the next update of your course and your platform so that, as people identify issues, you're not just collecting a list of things that have to be fixed. You've actually assumed there's going to be an initial 1.1 or 2.0 release that's going to address issues that you get back from your feedback. So a perfect course isn't something necessarily that's flashy. It's just got to be quiet, predictable, and honestly boring. You want the process of launching a course to be uneventful, and that would be a good sign of success. So if your course supports your revenue, if it delivers real value, if it fits cleanly into your business model, you've probably got a formula for success. Don't ignore these little details. Don't focus only on the launch and a launch date. Focus on a system that's going to support you long term so that your course is working well and you're not freaking out and doing, last-ditch customer support problems or addressing them in order to keep this thing alive.